Yo, you already know who the fuck it is. Asharenu. We back in here. Of course. No sleep, as usual. We know it's about 5:30 a.m. West Coast time, which means it's about 8:30 a.m. East Coast time. So shout out to the East Coast. Good morning to the East Coast. Good morning to the West Coast. Good morning to the whole world. And good night, if you're on the other side of the world when you're just finishing up your day. So right now I want to speak on tighten your circle, young gods and young goddesses. Why do I feel this is important to emphasize? Because most people who end up in very harsh situations, it was because of the people that they were fucking with. Let me go a step further. Most of the time, when motherfuckers get caught in situations that's hard to get out of, is because they had somebody in their circle who was not solid. They had somebody in their circle who was grafted or unpure, diluted. They had someone in their circle who was a hater, low key, surrounded by winners. So they had to fake the funk. But eventually, everything comes to light. That should not be. So when you surround yourself amongst people who may be fun to hang with, who may be interesting to talk to, but on the energy level, these people mean you no good, because what's going on in their mental creates confusion. To even be a hater, you have a problem here. Because instead of directing your energy to achieve success in your own right, your energy is directed towards tearing people down. And that's what allows them to feed on that energy. They're like leeches feeding on your energy because you're a winner, because you have goals in life, because you have decided to take the path that was less walked. In other words, you decided to be a pioneer. You decided to be a trailblazer. You decided to go where no one else will go because you had enough courage and you had enough bravery to see your plan all the way through to the end. So, for those who are not that strong mentally, of course, they want to be a part of what you have going on. They want to be a part of the winning team, the winning circle. Who doesn't, right? But everybody is not qualified to be in your midst. And this is what I want to emphasize. Cut out the bullshit. Stop smoking with strangers. Stop smoking with other people, period. Essentially, if it's not somebody who is in tune with you mentally. Why? Because now their energy gets mixed with your energy. So if you don't even know who you're really smoking with, you're really spending time with, you're drinking with this person, you're fucking this person, and you truly don't understand the depths of their minds, which is manifested through just spending time with them. Enough time without drugs, without drinks, without sex, without, money being, on the top of the mind. When you just, having a good time and you just trying to get to know a person. Everything is revealed in that process. Without a firm root in who and what you are, people will use you, absorb your energy, and leave you for dead. Because this is just the nature of reality. The same thing happens in the animal kingdom. It is what it is. So we are not here to be mad at people who do this. It's just more so you have to protect yourself. Do not open yourself up to people who do not have your best interest. This seems like common sense, but it's not. Why? Because motherfuckers may meet, you may be a rapper, you meet somebody else who want to rap, oh, let's collaborate. Fuck collaborating. Do you know what they rap about? Do you know their background? Do you know what they're truly into? Do they have cases going on, or they fighting cases? Do they have beef in these streets? See, these are the things that may not be thought about in the initial response of this is somebody that may be cool. You don't know what they actually do in these streets. So just by associating yourself with this person, now you have beef. And you didn't even have nothing to do with it. It's just your association with somebody who is moving incorrectly, who is not on code, who is not on key, who is off beat. This is why their life is a fucking mess. But you may not necessarily know that because they may know how to rap. They may have something that you feel is valuable, whatever that may be. But you truly don't know how they move and how they navigate and how they communicate and what type of karma is being sown through their ways and actions until it's too late. This is why it's been too many of us in hip hop, in this culture. It's been too many of us who have fallen victim to simply being around the wrong type of people. And I'm not just talking about street orientated people, because you can be street and move on code and be fine, just like you can be street and be off code. And you don't have to be street at all and be off code, and you don't have to be street at all to be on code. So it's not necessarily about a person's background, but the way they think and the way they move. And you have to know how to read people. This is what you learn in the streets. You learn how to read people. It's not about books in the streets. If you're dealing in real time, it's not about books. It's about you knowing how to read people. And based on your level of readership or seership, to be able to see through the illusions, that's what will navigate you to the places that you need to be, because you don't get sidetracked by the nonsense. You don't get sidetracked by things that don't serve you. You don't become another character in someone else's story. You want to go to Burger King, they want to go to McDonald's. Instead of, all right, fuck it, we just gonna go to McDonald's. You stick with your plan. Fuck McDonald's. Just as an example. We don't have time for people to be split in what they choose to do with their lives. We don't have time to waste. As they say, time waits for no man. So we do not have time to be behind bars, to be in the fucking grave behind someone else. You just so happen to be with the wrong person because you don't truly know who you fucking with. You don't truly know who you dealing with. So all of their karma, you have to deal with it because you are associated with this person. Again, you're smoking with this person. This person is considered your friend or whatever the fuck is going on. This is why it pays to be misanthropic. For those who may not know what that is, that means you hate people or humanity. So let's not even say people, just humanity, society, because it's all based in fabrication and lies. So if somebody is basing their whole life off of fabrications and lies, and you associate with this person, what do you think your destination will be? Because either you are going to make them like you, or they will make you like them. And we don't have time to convert motherfuckers who's not already with the shits. We don't have time to convince people of why you should be doing A, B, C, and D. It's already known for those who live this life. You already know. You don't have to convince because it's already known. So if you even have to convince a person, well, this is why spirituality is beneficial. If you have to convince a person of that, and that's not common sense, then you know that this is not a person you should be dealing with. Basically, some If you are making a decision to live a better life, to clean yourself up, to disassociate yourself from
Mm-hmm.
motherfuckers who serve you no good, if you are making those steps and you start dealing with a person who has not made those steps, guess where you're going to end up? Right back where you started. You trying to stop smoking weed, but you have a bunch of friends that smoke. Somebody's going to light a fucking blunt or a joint at some point and pass it to you because these are the people that you chose to associate with yourself. Now, is there anything wrong with passing the joint or the blunt? Not when you know who you fucking with, because you already know. And for anybody who engages in smoking with another person, you know that depending on who you smoke with will determine the high that you get. So if you smoke with a clown, your shit is going to be like this because they are unstable, even if it doesn't show physically. But if you smoke with somebody who's stabilized, somebody who's smooth, somebody who's on code, who's not trying to bring attention to themselves, who's moving in silence because they understand, like, if you are dealing in the occult, this is not going to be accepted by the mainstream. So therefore, there's no need to speak about it. There's no need to tell people what you're into because you already know people are not going to understand. So there's no reason for you to try to convince a motherfucker who's already got their mind made up about who and what you are. So you got people who will smoke with you and still be looking down at you. Like, look at this idiot. I'll smoke with you though. Like, they are willing to absorb your energy and, like, I'm just going to use it for myself. Because this is how people think when you are poisoned. When you are poisoned, you start thinking like this. You start thinking, I need to take from someone else, or I need to leech on somebody else who may have potential, because you can't generate it in and of yourself. Why? Because you have diluted yourself. You have poisoned yourself with the lifestyle that most people lead. And this is why I say most people live poisonous lives, whether it's with their diet, with their thoughts, or with anything else. Most people live a poisonous life, not necessarily because the people are bad, it's just they are misinformed. The society has misinformed people, so that's why we got a bunch of devils and savages running around this bitch. Why? Because they are ingesting the poison and have no idea what the antidote is. For example, if you smoke or drink, you have to drink more water than the average person because smoking and drinking dehydrates you. So there's an extra emphasis placed upon the poison that you put into your body. It doesn't necessarily make the poison bad. You just have to go above and beyond to keep that equilibrium, which most people do not do. Most people may drink or smoke and just be dehydrated, walking around this bitch dehydrated. How you supposed to be at optimum form, dehydrated, right? This is why you got a bunch of motherfuckers who just smoke and they just fall back, right? They can't really do nothing. Why? Because you're dehydrated. If you smoke and you were already dehydrated before you smoked, then now you're extra dehydrated. And what is going to come out of that? Just a bunch of motherfuckers talking and nothing gets accomplished. And this is what I mean by having these types of people around you does nothing for you but leads you to a jail cell or the grave because they are not on code to your detriment. Tighten your circle, young gods and young goddesses. Because I didn't already been through the fire. And as the big homie who done already didn't put the work in and who continues to put the work in, who done been through the madness, you have to tighten your circle for your benefit if you truly desire success. As they say, at the top, There's very few people. At the bottom, there's an abundance of people. The only difference between the top and the bottom is the mental. That's the only difference. How do I know this? Because I've been in the streets, but I had already trained my mind to be spiritual. So I didn't have to go through what a lot of us have to go through. Pretty much lessons that you have to learn in the streets. Because again, you may not be reading books. You may be learning in real time. But if you do, pick up some occult information. And I'm not just saying books, like occult information, like some shit that's actually useful for you, not some science fiction shit, some, as they call it, self-help or whatever the fuck. I'm not even going to say self-help, because even self-help books are not really what they seem either, because it's just a bunch of fluff. So that's why I would place emphasis on the occult versus like some self-help shit, because that can be anything. Nonetheless, I done been through the madness. I done been amongst motherfuckers who do not have my best interest at heart. I done been around motherfuckers who do not understand business etiquette. I done been around motherfuckers who do not know how to do business properly. And that hurts them overall, but they don't see it. Why? Because their egos is just too inflated for them to realize their own faults. And it bleeds out into your lifestyle because you choose to be amongst these people. So nonetheless, you must tighten your circle if you choose to be successful in this life. And by success, I don't mean about having a bunch of bread, a bunch of cash flow to just do anything with disposable money. I'm talking about making proper investments. Success is not just something that happens haphazardly. It's making the right investments, surrounding yourself around the right people, proper investments, proper team, proper etiquette, being on code. Those are the tools for success. Because if any of that is out of order, if you got motherfuckers on your team that's robbing you, again, this is why I use Tekashi 6ix9ine as an example, because we see what he's going through. He had a bad team. He was amongst those who did not have his best interest, and now he has to suffer for it when he wasn't really involved in none of that shit. He's trying to rap, but you trying to be around a bunch of gangsters who are off code. That's how you end up in jail. So somebody was off code, and that's why motherfuckers is locked up. Because if everybody was on code, nobody would be locked up. This is my point. Use these examples as learning tools and lessons. See what got everybody else fucked up. Just study the entire history of hip hop. It's all there. People who got into bad deals, which destroyed their careers. People who surrounded themselves with a bad circle destroyed their careers. There have been too many careers destroyed. There's too many bodies in the grave for just making little tweaks in your life. It just requires little tweaks, right? Be on code. What does that mean? Move in silence. What does that mean? Don't speak unless spoken to. All these motherfuckers, again, we in the age of social media, motherfuckers cannot control their tongues. Don't be one of these motherfuckers. Because that leads you to places that you don't want to be. Around a bunch of other motherfuckers who can't control their tongue. A bunch of madness. This is why when you see me in my videos, who's around? Who's around? It's not that I'm antisocial. I just have been through it. I learned better. So if anything happens to me, guess what? Nobody else suffers. That's my point. So it's also responsibility. So if I am slipping, guess what? Nobody else has to suffer but me, because I don't put anybody else in my deeper circle, which is, again, everybody has their deeper circle, which is just yourself. So not only do I not surround myself around idiots, but I also make sure not to bring anybody else that could potentially be harmed if I'm engaging in certain activity. You're not going to bring your family amongst wolves because you know it doesn't mix. But some people just don't know this shit. And I don't want to blame the people, because some people are ignorant and some people are arrogant. Some people know better but feel they know better. Let me say that one more time. I'll say it slower. Some people feel that they know better than the next person. So in turn, the arrogance comes from, I already know this. How everybody has been around people like this who ain't trying to hear nothing you talking about, but you know that's exactly what they need to hear, but they won't accept it because they may not respect you. Oh, this motherfucker ain't got no money. This motherfucker don't know what he's talking about. But they are willing to listen to somebody who, let's just say, has the material goods, but mean them no good. That's the difference. Everybody's so bedazzled by the lights, camera, and action, not realizing that if you do what these motherfuckers do on camera in real time, you have consequences to pay because they have resources that we don't have. They can hire professional security. They can pay off the cops. We don't have that luxury to make mistakes. So when we look at them and we look at that as a blueprint, oh, okay, we see, oh, that trolling works, so I'm going to troll. Okay, let's see how that happens or how that works in real time. Get your fucking head blow off. Fucking around with the wrong people, thinking that you can do things that you should not be doing. Right? All this is avoided by being alone. Be alone. Cultivate yourself. Then, if it is those amongst you who are like minded, but not just like minded, they have to be solid or on code, meaning they don't really speak too much either. They're not telling people what they're doing. Shh. No words even have to be spoken. Silence is key. That's how you know. If you want to create a circle with people who are silent, people who don't speak too much. Why? Because these are going to be the people. And I'm not saying this because you don't talk means you're a good person, but the reasoning why they don't speak. Some people are just shy. Some people are just antisocial. Then some people know better. Some people have, you know, game, like the video I just made. Some people have game. So therefore, they know to move in silence. They know not to speak to people who don't have anything to do with what they're doing. Tighten your circle up, because it will be your friends that bring you down. It will be your friends that turn on you. It will be your, as they say, it's not my enemy I have to look for or look after. It's my homie, because that's the motherfucker that's closest to me. It's a motherfucker that's closest to you that can do you the most harm. It's been motherfuckers who have done dirt together and told on each other. For what? For what? Hate. because they don't want to see you out here doing it big. So they rather you be locked up with their ass. Yeah, I did it, but he did it too. So we both go to jail. Why? Because them going to jail don't mean nothing because they were already untalented. But you were talented. You had a mission. You had a goal. And they stopped it because of their hate. They slowed you down because of their hate. Because they don't have what you have. And they wish they did. So they play this role to eventually take you down. I just have to give everybody reality. It's too much nonsense out here. It's not enough people just speaking sense, right? I just want to speak sense. We do the spiritual videos and all that, but we also have to deal in reality. This is just what really happens. We are on planet Earth, after all. Don't get the shit twisted. Just because you may have world peace in your mind, don't mean we have world peace externally. Right? So again, we don't have to make this too long. I just want to give the message. All my youngins, keep your circle tight. Move in silence. Don't speak. Don't tell people what you do, what you're into. That should never be discussed. You should never discuss your magical works, your magical workings with those you do not trust. And even if you trust them, you still should limit your information. It's the same reason why you don't just randomly give your birthday out to people so that they can, study your natal chart. You don't just give that information to random people. Be wise, my youngins. Because I know the elders already know this because they didn't been through it like I've been through it. You didn't have motherfuckers turn on you and you like, man, that I didn't see that coming. You didn't see it coming. But they knew all along because they knew you were the jewel. You were the key to success. You were the one. You were the chosen. And they were not. And they could not deal with that. That's what brings down nations. Where people do not want to follow a leader because everybody wants to be the leader. That person is not no better than me. So why am I following after that? That's what destroys everything that has been built. Because if you were chosen to be the leader, you were chosen to be the leader. And if they were not, they were not. And it would be in their best interest to connect themselves to you, but to do right by you. They're not thinking like that. They're not thinking, let me do right by a person who has been blessed. If a person has been blessed, let me do right by them so that I can reap blessings as well. But of course, they want to move you out of the position and they want to take your position. Right? And I know I have questions coming in. So I'll make this last point and I'll get to the questions. This is the way life works. So do what you need to do to make sure that you don't become a victim to somebody else's savagery. Because they knew that you were blessed and they wanted to destroy your blessing. And the only way for them to destroy your blessing is to get you off of your path. Hey, take this, do this, do this. Making little subtle suggestions in your mind, trying to throw you off your game. People are very sneaky like this. Always pay attention to the energy that people bring. If anyone has any doubt in your circle, remove them. It is that doubt that creates fear, and that fear creates disunity, which will bring you down and everybody around you down. Just look at it. How many times have people had to change their circles? How many people are locked up right now because somebody told on them, somebody that they trusted? How many people are in the grave right now? Somebody killed them. that was close to them, right? All you gotta do is do your history. I know, some people don't like doing history, but you study history just to learn that human nature is very diabolical. So when you strive to be pure, you are going against the grain. And when you go against the grain, you have to face the madness. When you go against the grain, you have to face the madness. Because everybody else is afraid to go against the grain, so they're just becoming, all you see is little robots of rappers. When I look at all these styles in today's times, it comes from the entertainment industry. You just see little Uzi Verts, little Lil Xans, and fucking, y'all know who these youngins. No disrespect to them, because they're original, but everybody else who's just copying with no original thought. Be weary of these people who are copycats. Be weary of people who do not have their own personal energy signature. They're just a combination of somebody else's energy. They don't even speak their own original words. Like, they're just repeating. So how do you know? And this will be the last point. How do you know if you're dealing with a person like this? Just ask them to go into detail about anything that they say. What does that mean? Where did you get that from? How do you know it works? When you start asking those deeper questions, you get to see how in depth a person really thinks. And if there is no depth to that person, is this all surface, then you know who you fucking with. If that person has no depth, you know who you fucking with. If a person gets irritated at you asking questions, you know who you fucking with. But if the person, like, yo, here's where I got it from. I tried it. These are my results. They actually root everything that they say in actual science, in actual magic. It can be shown and proven in any given time. Nothing should come out of your mouth that cannot be shown and proven at any given time. And if you cannot do that, you know who you fucking with. Can they show and prove what they spew out of their fucking tongues, out of their mouth, out of their wombs? Can they show and prove it? And if they cannot, that means they're getting it from somebody else and they don't have the in-depth knowledge that you only can acquire by having original thought. So if you don't have original thought, then strive to have original thought by purifying yourself. Purify yourself so that you can get in tune with that original thought and surround yourself with others who are doing the same. And remain solid. Remain solid. So before we get out of here, let me answer these questions. Can I get your thoughts about how or why they are stopping newspapers in USPS services tomorrow for Papa Bush? I have no idea. Oh, okay, he was big in the New World Order. Okay, I get it now. Basically, everybody who has been a part of that society, the whole New World Order, the Illuminati, the elites, whatever the fuck you want to call them, these are the people who dictate the pace of the world behind closed doors. So he was whoever the fuck that person is, even if people known him on a public level, his behind the scenes work outshines the public work. And that's why the people who are in a position of power, like the people who can stop the fucking mail, that's power. If you can stop them and no mail is coming today or in or out, so we're going to honor this man. We're going to stop the fucking mail. That's power. So obviously that man had an influence behind the scenes that we were not aware of. That motherfucker was putting in real work. If that motherfucker's name is Papa Bush, and yeah, I'm using all type of foul language because it irritates people. That's how I troll. Because I know it's people that don't like profanity. They don't like my black ass. So I just rub it in their face. That's the way I troll. I can speak, without cussing. I can speak, you could say, like a white man with using proper English. I can do all that, but I just choose not to. I'm making a choice just to be more creative. That's all it is. But anyway, what's up, Marvin and Magi? What's up, Sharice? What's up, Derpy McFly? What's up, Mr. Harper? Mm, what's up, Theory of Everything? What's up, Danny? Yeah, what's up, what's up, what's up? What's up, Young Samsara? What's up, Head Scar? Can you speak on imagination being God and the techniques of Novelli Goddard? Well, Novelli Goddard, his teacher was a Hebrew mystic, a black man. So yes, you're right that the techniques that yeah, I call him Novelli. I know his name is Novell. I just call him Novelli. I guess my connection with Machiavelli. So if I say Novelli, I'm talking about Novell. But his teacher was a Hebrew mystic. Yes, which goes back to ancient times. So he was taught by those or the person who was initiated into the mysteries. So that's why when Novelli breaks down the Bible and the Hebrew words and all that, that's why it's intricate. That's why it makes sense, because he had a good teacher. So that's why the techniques work. Have I personally tried the techniques? The techniques, absolutely, and they do work. But because it's rooted in reality, because his teacher was a true mystic. So yes, the techniques work, but you have to know that. You have to do the history. Don't just study his works. Study who the man was and study who his teacher was. But of course, that's the boring stuff, right? People just want the techniques. Well, how do you do this? How do you manifest? How do you do this? I heard that person said it. But do you know who that person was? What position did they serve in history? And who was a teacher? And who was their teacher? And where does it go back to? You need to connect it to a source. So if you can start at Novelli Goddard, Neville Goddard, start with him and connect it back to the source and study the source. He is just a projection of that source information. Study that source information and come to your own understanding as he did. Study the source, come to your own understanding the same way he did, the same way Napoleon Hill, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Elijah Muhammad, W.D. Farad, Muhammad, so on and so forth. Helena Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley, so on and so forth. All the 19th century occultists. They studied the source information, which may have been Hinduism. They studied Hinduism, came to their own understanding. They studied mysticism, came to their own understanding. They studied the occult, started with John Dee, came to their own understanding. So it's not just about reading the books. Study the author and their teacher and their teacher and their teacher, and go back to the source and study the source. Because that's how you can go beyond what Neville did. You can go beyond what he did when you study what he studied, and you come to your own understanding. But if you just study the man, you never get in tune with the source. So you can never go beyond the man when you only study the man or the workings of the man. You can't go beyond Neville if you study his works and not what he studied. What was he studying? You can say the Bible. Well, you have to learn Hebrew then, because he was breaking down the Hebrew words and all that. So if you don't speak Hebrew, you're limited if you seek to truly understand the Bible, because we know that the Bible was written in Hebrew. So if you don't know how to read and understand Hebrew from an occult perspective, like Hebrew geometric, what is it called? Gematria. When you can calculate the letters with the numbers. The same thing I do with supreme mathematics and supreme alphabet. It's a whole science of you just knowing the Hebrew letters and the numbers connected with those letters and what that symbolizes. It's a whole different science. Super advanced. But if you just study Nivelle, you never get to that point. And that's my point. Go beyond the man, go to the source and perfect the source and come to an original understanding. So we have all the ancestors. They already laid down the information. Go back to the source, and purify it and continue to evolve so that people study you and they can connect you to the source and they connect to the source. Then they go further than you went. Is that not the point? Do you not want your son and your daughters to be more intelligent, more smarter than you are? And that's why you give them the game so that when they are your age, they're even more intelligent than you are. Is that not the point, to pass it down and to take it further? That should be the plan. Like, if you are into this information, you should be more intelligent than your parents, because your parents didn't study this. If your parents did not study the occult and you do, you should be more intelligent than your parents that didn't study, because you have an aspect of life to grasp that they didn't have. Not to mean that they're good or bad people. It's just that we continue to move forward. Right? So we'll wrap this up. Y'all get the point. So make sure everything is answered. And we'll get the fuck out of here. Y'all take it easy. Be wise. Tighten your circle up. You know? Save your life. Save years of your life. Don't end up in a jail cell. Don't be around idiots. Don't be around those who are arrogant. And don't be around those who choose to be ignorant and remain there. Right? So we out. One.